Hi there, welcome to this third Engineering Maths 1 lecture on functions. We're going to look at inverse functions today. So the function f of x has an inverse function f to the minus 1 of x. This can be found using the following method, and this works for every function that has an inverse. So if we let y equal f of x, firstly, and then if we swap over the x's and y's. When I say swap, we're not transposing yet, we're literally just switching their places. And then the third step is to transpose, and we transpose for y, and then we replace y with f inverse f of x, or f to the minus 1 of x. Okay, so let's see that using a few examples. So firstly, find the inverse of f of x equals 2x plus 4. So the first step is always just to change the f of x to y. Okay, so we're going to let y equal 2x plus 4. And then at that point, we simply interchange the x's and the y's. So we're now going to write it as x equals 2y plus 4. Okay, that's the second step. And then the third step is the transposition. So we're now transposing for y. So we bring the 4 across, so it becomes x minus 4 equals 2y. And then divide by 2. So x minus 4 over 2 is equal to y. Now you can write it like that, or you can have it halving everything, so you can write it as a half x minus 2. Either is acceptable. Okay. Now we've fully transposed for y, and then all we need to do is replace the y with f inverse of x. Okay, so that is the inverse function of 2x plus 4, the original function. Okay, so that's how we find an inverse, and this works all the time. So let's do another couple of examples. So find the inverse of f of x equals 3x squared plus 1. So first step is always to change that for y, and then to switch around the x's and the y's. Here's the second step. Now, third step is the transpose for y. So x minus 1 first, then divide by 3, and finally cube root. Okay, and then the final step is you just need to write f inverse of x instead of the y, and that's equal to the cube root of x minus 1 over 3. So that's the inverse function of the original one there. Okay, and one more example. This is a slightly bit trickier one because there's an x in two positions, which is a slightly trickier transposition. So find the inverse of f of x equals 2x plus 1 over 5x minus 3. So what we're going to do first, as always, change that for y. And we now need to swap around the x's and the y's. Now there's two different positions of x there, so we now need to replace both of those x's with y's. Okay, so x equals 2y plus 1 over 5y minus 3. So we now need to transpose this. So firstly, we get rid of the fraction by bringing up the 5y minus 3 and multiplying. So it's going to be x bracket 5y minus 3 equals 2y plus 1. And because the y is in the bracket, we need to multiply out to get it out the bracket. So that's going to say 5xy minus 3x equals 2y plus 1. So we now need to unpick all the y's from there, which means we need to get the y's on the same side. So I'm going to bring across from the right-hand side the 2y. So it's going to say 5xy minus 3x minus 2y is equal to 1. And then any non-y terms I'm going to take back to the right-hand side, which is the 3x. So I'm going to add the 3x to the right-hand side. So it becomes 5xy minus 2y equals 3x plus 1. Now at this point we now need to unpick the y, which means factorising. So there's a common factor of y in there. So take out the y, which becomes y bracket 5x minus 2 equals 3x plus 1. And then finally divide through by this bracket on the right hand side to say 3x plus 1 over 5x minus 2. And now you've got the y by itself. Okay, now that is the inverse function. So we then just need to write as our final step, f inverse of x is equal to 3x plus 1 over 5x minus 2. Okay, so that's how we find the inverse of a function. You don't need to worry about the graphs part of this outcome. So we're going to be working on worksheet 4 now. You can ignore question 1 on page 37 and go on to questions 2, 3 and 4 on page 38, please. Okay, so that's worksheet 4, page 38. Okay, that'll be great. Any questions as always, please type in the group chat or get in touch. Thanks now, bye.